You're listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
Today is Monday, May 24th, 2021, and this is your daily Star Trek news from the Roddenberry Podcast Network. On today's show, Star Trek Lower Decks actor Jack Quaid talks about his new role as Superman. Shazad Latif doesn't know much about the Section 31 show, and I'm reviewing Star Trek Lower Decks, now out on Blu-ray. I'm Alison Pitt, and today's show is sponsored by EveryPlate. Try EveryPlate for just $1.99 per meal, plus an additional 20% off your next 2 boxes by going to everyplate.com and entering the promotional code DSTN199. Last week, Warner Media announced that Star Trek Lower Decks actor Jack Quaid has been tapped to voice the role of Clark Kent/Superman in the upcoming animated series My Adventures with Superman. In a recent interview with comicbook.com, Quaid weighed in on the joys and challenges of voicing characters across different science fiction franchises. The new Superman series will see Clark Kent coming into his own as a superhero and the defender of Metropolis, all while concealing his identity and working alongside fellow journalist Lois Lane, voiced by Alice Lee. While moving between the characters of Ensign Boimler and Clark Kent definitely presents a challenge as an actor, Quaid told comicbook.com, "I see it mostly as an opportunity to be able to play in all of these different universes. The fact that I'm in Star Trek and Superman, and this crazy messed up universe where superheroes are real, that's insane." For Quaid, lending his voice to both Ensign Boimler and the Man of Steel means getting to stretch his legs as an actor. "I love playing around with the different tones," Quaid said in the interview. "That's what you always want as an actor. I really don't know what else to say besides it's a gift. It's a gift to be able to play around in these different worlds. And not only that, play around with different versions of these worlds." Quaid is no stranger to science fiction. He made his film debut in the 2012 blockbuster The Hunger Games. Since then, he's found himself involved with other sci-fi projects, including the Amazon series The Boys and the voice of Alberto in Batman: The Long Halloween from Warner Media and the DC Universe. My Adventures with Superman will air on HBO and Cartoon Network. At this time, no release date has been announced for the series. It's been over 2 years since fans of Star Trek Discovery saw Ash Tyler, played by Shazad Latif, put in command of the clandestine agency Section 31. Now, in a new interview, Latif indicated fans will have to be a bit more patient to find out if Tyler's promotion will pay off with a part in a planned Star Trek spin-off to be headed by Michelle Yeoh's Philippa Georgiou. Speaking to the website Digital Spy, Latif brought up the Section 31 series and says he's heard slight rumblings concerning the spin-off, which was first announced by CBS in January of 2019. "It's just been slight yeses, slight questions, but I've no idea," he shared, adding, "I think it's down to people's schedules." Latif's uncertainty echoes what has been an unclear rollout for the Section 31 series. The timeline for a potential 6th addition to the Paramount Plus slate of Star Trek series has always seemed in flux, even though previous stories revealed that Discovery veterans Boyan Kim and Erica Lippold would serve as showrunners, and also that a writer's room was already hard at work on scripts. In February, Paramount Plus programming chief Julie McNamara remarked that it was unlikely for a new series to debut until one of the 5 current Trek iterations runs its course, but it did not rule out a 6th series if the timing feels right. In other words, it seems that Guardian of Forever's, aka Carl's newspaper, was correct when it proclaimed a bumpy forecast for Emperor Georgiou's future. Latif, however, is not sitting around waiting for a phone call from the Star Trek universe. He's hard at work promoting his new BBC series, The Pursuit of Love, coming to Amazon Prime in the States in the near future. You can read more about that project at bbc.co.uk. More news in a moment, but first, a word from our sponsor, EveryPlate. EveryPlate is a meal kit service. And listen, I know you've heard of other meal kits before because, hello, you listen to podcasts. But I've used Every Plate, and here's why I think that it's worth your time and consideration. First off, there's the price. It's a cheaper alternative to takeout or dining out, and if you enjoy cooking, it's more fun than taking out or dining out, and it's just as delicious. Second, it's easy. Every Plate's ingredients are pre-portioned, and every meal comes with an easy-to-follow recipe card that gives you great results. I had their garlic and rosemary chicken with roasted root vegetables, and let me tell you, the sauce for the chicken was unlike anything that I'd ever made before, and I did it, and I was extremely proud of myself that day. Lastly, Every Plate offers an ever-changing menu with a range of flavors that ensures that you will never get bored. I really cannot speak highly enough of the Every Plate service, so if you're looking for either a meal kit to try out, or if you're just looking for something a little bit different on your menu this week, then you might want to try Every Plate. And as a daily Star Trek news listener, you can try Every Plate for just $1.99 a meal, plus an additional 20% off your next 2 boxes. Just head to everyplate.com and enter the code DSTN199. That's everyplate.com and the promo code DSTN199. And a big thanks to Every Plate for sponsoring today's show. Star Trek Lower Decks Season 1 recently landed on shelves virtual and physical. And in fact, we just finished a giveaway giving our listeners one of 3 free copies. But if you missed out, is it still worth laying out the money to pick it up for yourself? In a word, yes. Yes, it is. Now, if you're brand new to Star Trek Lower Decks, the first thing that you should know is that while it's an animated show, it's not for children. In fact, I once thought, oh, it'll be fine. And I had my 10-year-old daughter sit with me to watch it. I regretted that decision. Now, I don't remember which episode that was, but what you'll find is that while there's no swearing, so Lower Decks actually bleeps itself, conversations can tend to be a little adult in nature, so it's really not for kids. Now, if you're a newbie, you should also know that while Lower Decks is a comedy, it's not making fun of Star Trek, and quite the contrary. In much the same way that Galaxy Quest managed to both poke fun and be a love letter to Star Trek fandom, Lower Decks makes fun of all the parts of Star Trek that you do when you're sitting around with your friends watching a Star Trek marathon. Long story short, if you haven't seen Lower Decks yet due to a lack of Paramount Plus subscription, then it's fully worth your time to pick up the Blu-ray and watch it. But what if you've already seen it? Firstly, personally, I think the Blu-ray is more consistently high quality. It's not subject to the same buffering or compression like you can get on some streaming services. But mostly, picking up the Blu-ray, you're getting loads of extra content that's going to help you feel closer to the show. Things like interviews with the cast, behind the scenes on how they finished production on the show in the middle of a global pandemic. And for you completionists out there, there's an inside look at Star Trek Easter eggs hidden throughout the show, along with freeze frames and commentary from the crew. Star Trek Lower Decks is available now from Amazon.com or wherever you get your Blu-rays, and you can choose from either DVD, Blu-ray, or a limited edition Blu-ray Steelbook. Well, that's it for today's daily Star Trek news from the Roddenberry Podcast Network. Don't forget to check out the other great shows on the network at podcasts.roddenberry.com. Daily Star Trek News is produced by me, Alison Pitt, and written by Chris Peterson and Jack Brown. Today's show was sponsored by Every Plate. Try Every Plate for just $1.99 per meal, plus an additional 20% off your next 2 boxes by going to everyplate.com and entering code DSTN199. I'm back tomorrow with more of the Star Trek news you need to know and this week's Trek Trivia. I'm Alison Pitt. Live long and prosper.
This is a Roddenberry podcast. For more great podcasts, visit podcast.roddenberry.com.